Hey everybody, here's Bloodwing here, back for another episode of Rednecks and Pigskins, blood on the gridiron. About lost my train of thought there already. That's a bad sign.
That's
With
your age.
with me as always is Minding Freedom. Say hi for minding.
Hi, minding.
Okay, Scribe Life.
Yeah, I'm pulling the
Uh,
old scribbles.
Gonna warn everybody in chat. I probably won't be typing in chat today. I'm having issues with my keyboard. That's why I've been gone all this week. I've had my computer apart more than it's been together all week, and I can't get my keyboard to work right. So, but I'm here.
We talked about this before. You know, an old man having problems with his equipment. That happens.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So, week one is in. Oh, and by the way, J Kid's not going to be able to make it unless he changes his mind. He works nights. He hasn't been able to sleep, so he has to get some sleep before he goes in tonight. He sent ahead his well wishes and really hated to miss the first full week of football, but got to do what you got to do. So it's going to be me and Minding today, minding the store. So, yeah, lots happened. First full week of football's in the bag. How about that?
Oh, finally. It was way too long. I mean, we talked about it last week. We had the kickoff game, Chiefs Patriots, already in the books by then, and it was necessary. I mean, you can only take so much of time without football.
Yeah, trust me. Uh, I used to be in a lot of other sports, into a lot of other sports until last year. I used to really love basketball, but anymore you can't see college basketball, which is my favorite, without cable. And I can't afford cable. I'm poor. And don't care much for pro basketball anymore. And never did watch much baseball. So when it's not football season, I got nothing to watch.
Yeah, I got college football at least. I'm caring about that, but that just started a few weeks ago as well. So there's a lot of time in between. I'm not a fan of basketball, baseball, not at all. Like we don't get it here in Germany. It's the problem is that not only can we not watch it, but we don't understand the game of baseball. The
That's the way I
rules
am with
and
hockey.
everything, it's no one knows in Germany. There are probably a few people, those who play it themselves, but apart from them, no one knows and no one cares.
I love to play, and I'm not a bad player. It's actually the only sport that I lettered in high school. I'm not a bad second baseman, or wasn't until I lost my legs. Well, still have my legs, but they don't work very well. And but to watch, unless there's somebody in the game that I personally know, yeah, it's like watching grass grow.
Yeah, I mean a little college basketball every now and then. Yeah, maybe it depends if the Badgers are still in it. 'Cause I've never been to the USA in my life, but somehow I'm rooting for the Badgers every time. Maybe it's because I am a Badger, because I love Wisconsin, basically, not only for the Packers but the whole state, for the German heritage that is alive and well there,
Yeah.
which kind of has gives me a connection of some kind to Wisconsin. I think
Yep.
there's a lot of reasons. I can't name a single one. There are so many, but yeah, I think we're diverting too much.
Probably. So week one of football. Now, before we got started, you were mentioning you wanted to start a category, or you've seen a category or something. Tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I was thinking, and I have to say, the category is named in honor of a player that did retire, but then he came back. Unfortunately, I have to say, The Jay Cutler performance of the week, which is the award for the worst performance of the week, the worst quarterback performance, I must say. And that award goes to your beloved Indianapolis Colts and Scott Tolzien.
Yeah.
9 of 18 for 128 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks.
There was a time I was sitting there watching the game. That's, of course, my team, so of course I was watching. I was laying in my, because the only TV we have in the house right now is in my bedroom. I was laying in my bed watching the game, and I found myself wishing for Curtis Painter. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers Curtis Painter. He was the quarterback we had in when Peyton Manning got hurt, and we went 2-14 that season. So if that tells you anything, yeah, Tolzien was stinking up the place.
It's not like you couldn't expect it. I mean, I said it last week. I saw this kid play when he was in Green Bay. I expected something like this. Maybe not that bad, but he's not going to get you anywhere.
It was a pretty good clue when his first pass of the game was a pick six. And that was just the first two that he threw.
I gotta protect him a little here. His performance was bad, but Jameis Winston, who I personally, you may disagree, but I personally consider to be an elite quarterback by now. His first pass attempt ever in the league was a pick six. So just the first pass attempt doesn't tell you anything. But 9 of 18, 128 yards. I mean, that's 7.1 yards per attempt. That's actually, I mean, not that bad, but 50% completion, really? And 2 picks on 18 attempts? 2 picks? That's a bit much.
Well, the only go ahead.
If you throw 1 pick on 18 attempts, that can happen. It's not nice, but, it can happen. But 2 in that short range, that tiny sample size, and one of them is a pick six, damn, that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, like I told you before we started the stream, I made it through a little more than half the game. And when it was like 38-3, I thought I had to give up. My head could only take so much.
And I mean, you gotta remember, this Rams defense was without Aaron Donald for the whole game. He is returning this week. He held out, and he was not playing. So they had their best player on defense not with them. And you still only managed to score 9 points, 3 field goals, don't find the end zone a single time? Come on, Colts.
Well, the only upside was that they have announced that they are starting Brissett this weekend. Now, I don't know if he's much of a step up, but he does have a stronger arm, which, like we talked about, does fit our play style a little better. So here's hoping for at least a few more points.
I mean, you did see Tolzien. Everyone is a step up from Tolzien. If they would throw me into that spot, no, probably not. Probably not. But if the Colts went out and got Colin Kaepernick, that would be a step up.
Like I said, I found myself wishing for Curtis Painter, and that's bad.
Yeah,
that's real bad.
Yeah. If they went and got Ryan Leaf, 2017 Ryan Leaf, the old man that he is, probably better than Scott Tolzien. But I also have an honorable mention because it barely happens that a team gets completely shut out and their quarterback throws 4 interceptions in one game. Andy Dalton definitely has to be the honorable mention here.
Yeah.
36 of 66 for 394, 4 picks.
Yeah, that was a little shocking. I mean, I'm not on the Andy Dalton bandwagon like some of the TV personalities that you see, but
Yeah.
he's better than that. That was kind of shocking.
Yeah, Andy Dalton to me always was this basically the definition of mediocrity.
Yeah.
Like he was, for me, he always was the guy that you measure quarterbacks with. If your quarterback is better than Andy Dalton, you're just fine. Keep him, play him, you're good. If your quarterback is worse than Andy Dalton, find a new one.
Yeah.
That was always my estimate of quarterbacks. He was right there in the middle. And that's not him. Like quarterback rating of 47.2, not even 50. I mean, 50 is a bad quarterback rating. He didn't even make that. Scott Tolzien 33.8, just so we're clear on that.
Yeah.
Which tells you everything. But
I got a bad feeling that until Andrew gets back, that we're probably going to hit that list, our quarterbacks every week. I got a bad feeling.
Oh, I just saw I made a mistake here. I'm sorry. Actually, if you look at the quarterback rating, the award would belong to Andy Dalton. I mixed it up because the Bengals already played the Thursday game, which we will talk about. Andy Dalton's stat line for the first week: 16 of 31 for 170 and 4 picks. Quarterback rating under 30, 28.4. Which is even worse than Tolzien. So maybe Andy Dalton gets the award. I mean, maybe it's a tie.
Let's call it a tie. Yeah. That sounds about even.
Because Tolzien was just as bad, just that he had less sample size. That was all. But damn, there was some bad performances out there. But then again, I have some understanding for Dalton because he was playing the Ravens defense. And we all know for the last few years, Ravens defense, they're not fooling around.
No.
That's a defense I would not want to face in the NFL. If I get to choose one defense to not play against, the Ravens defense would be pretty high up there. Maybe the Chiefs. I don't know. There are maybe 2 or 3 others. Maybe the Seahawks. But the Ravens defense is pretty damn good. Yeah. The Rams defense, even without, or especially without Aaron Donald, you know.
Yeah, Monk. Tolzien only got sacked 4 times. Believe it or not, the line held up fairly well for being as mixed up as it is, and he still played that bad.
Yeah, I think we can when you say the line held up, I think we can move on to another game where the offensive line definitely didn't hold up, which is the game I watched very closely, Seahawks at Packers.
I figured you did.
What kind of mess was that offensive line for the Seahawks?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, they had 7 I saw one play. They had 7 blockers for 4 players. It wasn't even a blitz. They double teamed 3 players. What happened? Russell Wilson got sacked and lost the ball, and the Packers recovered.
Yeah, going in, I really expected that game to be closer than it ended up being. I really did.
Yeah, and the weird thing was, well, actually it wasn't that weird, but what I really hoped would not happen was that the refs somehow, let's say, get involved in this. Unfortunately, they did with that pick six they called back. And there were a few things. The first was the scuffle between Jeremy Lane and I think Davante Adams, where Lane got ejected. The referee said it was for throwing a punch. The cameras didn't show any punch being thrown, but I didn't see a single angle where we saw the whole incident until the end. So maybe there was a punch, but we didn't see it. I don't know. In the end, I can't say anything about that. Maybe not. Hard to say. But the other thing was that Davante Adams was not called on that same scuffle for a face mask. That should have been seen. And the third thing was some Seahawks fans complained about that the illegal block in the back, which was the penalty that ultimately negated the touchdown, ultimately negated the pick six. There was some defensive lineman or something running behind Aaron Rodgers, pursuing him, and then blocking him in a bit of shoving, but some Seahawks fans said that wasn't enough for a penalty. Well, to me, it did bring Aaron Rodgers out of his balance while he was running. So I think, did he have a chance of getting the defensive lineman? I think or linebacker or someone. I think it was a defensive lineman who picked off the ball. It didn't seem so, which was kind of embarrassing. I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers chasing a defensive lineman and he can't get him. That's worrying. But he might have had a chance on the last few yards. So bringing him out of the balance, by the letter of the law, that was a penalty. So. Oh, and then there was the alleged pass interference in the end zone against pass interference on Jimmy Graham by some Packers player. I don't know who committed this alleged pass interference that to me was none because the pass was uncatchable. It was like 3 yards high or something. So, no, it's not interference.
So, some bad play, bad officiating then, huh?
Actually, I don't see that much bad officiating. The only thing I see is the face mask not being called on Davante Adams, and I didn't see a punch, but there might have been one. We didn't see from the cameras. Everything else, the called illegal block in the back to me was good, and the not called pass interference on some Packers player against Jimmy Graham, that was not called, and that to me also was a good call. So there's a lot of talk about the refs in game one. I didn't see that much bad.
Well, there always is. This is the first game of the season for them too, so.
And it's the Seahawks. They love to complain about the refs every time, and they, I mean, do you remember the Fail Mary?
Yeah, yes, I do.
How much luck in terms of officiating can one team have?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. A clear interception being called a touchdown. I mean, come on. Seahawks fans have nothing to talk about in terms of officiating.
Bit of karma.
Okay. On the face mask not being called, maybe, but it's still not good enough to make up for that loss back then.
So let's take a quick look at all the games. And then maybe if we have time, we'll take a look at tomorrow's games.
Yeah. You want to start? You got the list of the games?
Yeah.
All right.
Top of the list I pulled up are the Jets and Buffalo. One of the games we figured that who cared, right?
Yeah. And we were pretty much right.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bills won, but it wasn't spectacular. Like, yeah,
Yeah. I figured the Bills were a better team, and they proved it. Let's see. Jay McCowan had 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. Tyrod Taylor had 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Where the Jets really failed was their running game. 7 carries by Powell and only 22 yards. That was bad.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
I'm looking at it right now. Let me check here. Yeah, 7 by Powell for 22 and 6 by Forte for 16. I mean, both numbers are bad. I mean, if you run 13 times for 38 yards, less than 3 per rush, that tells me something.
You're right, Monk. It is like being the least smelly turd. it was pretty much who cares game. Okay. Not much you can say about that stink fest. Let's see who we got next here. We've got Jaguars at Texans, and that was one of the games I did want to talk about. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Who'd have thought? I know I sure didn't.
Yeah, I've got a story to tell on that game.
Sure.
I picked the Texans in all my Survivor pool leagues. Pretty much season over. But I still got my fantasy football leagues, which is some silver lining. But yeah, that's what happens when you're like, yeah, no one's gonna beat the Jaguars. What? 10 sacks? How? Yeah, that's what happened. The Texans got annihilated by the Jaguars defense.
Yeah, which is amazing. And I'm just as amazed that they were able to score 29 points on Houston's defense, because they're no slouch usually either.
Yeah, but they didn't score 29 on Houston's defense. They were, I think there was at least 1 defensive touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. Gotta look that up. Yeah, Dante Fowler scored a touchdown on a fumble. So there's 7 points gone that were not scored against the Jaguars, against the Texans defense. I mean, Blake Bortles threw a touchdown. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And okay, Leonard Fournette. I mean, yeah, we know this kid can do something. We know he's good. So, yeah, I mean, if you look on paper, yeah, they have Bortles. Bortles is shit. We all know that. But they have Leonard Fournette, and this guy can run. So that touchdown doesn't surprise me. But the Blake Bortles touchdown, that is the amazing part here, I think.
Yeah, it is. But man, I seen that score come up, and I'm like, what?
Yep, pretty much.
I must have woke up in the Upside Down. There's a Stranger Things reference for anybody that watches that show.
I certainly don't.
It's another dimension.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and Hypnagogic Monk says Houston wasn't very convincing Thursday against Cincy either. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that just a minute or 10 or 20 or so. But we have some more games from week 1 to talk about. What's the next on your list?
Steelers and Browns.
That was an interesting game to me.
Closer game than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Not going into the game. I mean, yeah, Steelers gonna win. Come on, who are we kidding? But winning by 3 points.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be that close. I mean, yeah, the Browns scored a touchdown in the fourth, and a 2-point conversion, so they came back from 11 into back to 3. And it was late in the fourth. It was 3 minutes 36 left in the fourth.
Yeah.
But you could almost say it was a garbage time touchdown. Not really, because the game was too close, but almost. But it's amazing. I mean, Browns show that they might actually win a few games this season.
They might, and the Steelers didn't get any help from Bell, which is amazing to me because he's usually he's decent.
Yeah, another story for me to tell. I lined up Le'Veon Bell in I think in one of my fantasy leagues. And I looked, as soon as that game was over, I looked at the score and I was like, what happened? What? How?
Yeah,
that was
10 carries, 32 yards. That's I think I could get that.
No, you can't. I mean, I don't want to offend you, but no.
Trust me. You're not offending me. I couldn't run across the house, let alone 3 yards of carry.
See, but 47 yards overall, 32 on the run, 15 on the pass, receiving. That's not good.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the Bell that usually when my Colts play the Steelers, he's usually the one that just tears us to shreds.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm waiting for week 2, where the Steelers are gonna play at home against the Vikings. I'm waiting for that because usually when a player like Bell has a really bad game according to his standards, which he did against the Browns, like 47 yards, no touchdowns, like that's a bad game in Le'Veon Bell's book. Usually a player of that caliber bounces back big time.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, the Vikings defense looking good as always. I mean, Mike Zimmer is a defensive-minded coach, but I'm expecting the Steelers, especially at home, to make a lot happen. But I'm getting ahead of myself again.
It's easy to do.
Week 1. What's your next game?
Cardinals and Lions. There's another. Wow.
Yep. I wish we could hear J-Kid talk about that one.
Yeah, I was kind of looking forward to that, but
yeah, he would probably still trash the Lions. I mean, they put up 35, 20 in the fourth quarter. And I really see J-Kid being like, yeah, but this Stafford, he's still shit. At Galladay, well, he caught a touchdown. He's a rookie, but he won't make anything. And Caldwell's play calling was shit. I see him do that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, and trash the defense for allowing 23 points. How dare they?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was very shocked at the outcome of that one. Because I really thought the Cardinals would just come in and embarrass them, honestly. But not to be this week.
Yeah, you shouldn't believe J-Kid too much. If he's trashing the lines all the time, they are a decent team. If I had to predict the whole season before the season, I would have put the Lions at a better record than the Cardinals. So I think they are a better team. I thought that before week 1 that the Lions were the better team. The only thing that I was thinking about was, that Cardinals defense. There might be something happening. And David Johnson on the other side of the ball, but he got injured, now on injured reserve. Basically destroying everyone who had either the number 1 or the number 2 pick in any fantasy football league.
But Monk brings up a good point. 135 million for Stafford. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I saw. I think it was Colin Cowherd saying he's worth every penny, and I'm like, well, he won the game, but no. How about no?
We're talking about Stafford here.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand maybe like at the current rate of quarterback money, maybe like $18 million a year. So for 5 years, that would be. I mean, it is a 5-year deal, right? 135 million, 5 years.
I think
right?
so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
Which is 27 a year. I think 2/3 of that, 18 million, that would be okay. So 90 million for 5 years. Yeah, I would be okay with that. But 135 make him the highest paid player in the NFL. No, just no.
And Stafford will do that. He'll pull a great game out of his butt every once in a while, and then he'll just go right back to being who he really is the next week.
I mean, I don't want to imagine Matthew Stafford pulling anything out of his butt. I'm sorry. That puts me off.
Hey, you're going to have to learn to deal with it. It's redneck talk, you know what I mean? Okay. Let's see who we got next. Nope, that was Bucks. Dolphins was postponed. Falcons, Bears. That was a little closer than I thought it would be too.
Yeah, the Bears. I think it wasn't that the Bears were playing good. I think that the Falcons were playing bad, and I think that the departure of Kyle Shanahan hurts them more than they want to admit. I think that's what you can take away from this. Matt Ryan, I mean, well, he went for 70% completion rate, 21 of 30, 321 and a touchdown. But they didn't get a run game going at all. Freeman, 12 for 37. Well, and a touchdown, but his longest run was 6 yards. Boo-hoo. And Tevin Coleman, 8 for 16. 20 rushes for 53 yards. No, that's a bad running game. And Matt Ryan is Matt Ryan, so he's going to throw a 70% completion, over 10 yards per attempt, and a touchdown, no picks. Yeah, that's what he does. He's the reigning MVP. Okay, but the run game wasn't there, not at all, and I think that's what made this game closer than it basically should have been, and closer than everyone expected beforehand. And Mike Lennon being Mr. Checkdown, basically. And I love that we have a first fantasy breakout in that game. Well, at least for one game, maybe. I mean, he only rushed 5 times, so we'll see. But I love his nickname, the Human Joystick. I love that.
Oh, Cohen.
Tariq Cohen.
Yeah.
That was a performance. I mean, he only had one big run, but he also caught the ball 8 times out of the backfield. He might be the next Denny Woodhead after the actual Denny Woodhead got injured again like last season. Yeah.
He had over 100 yards in combined yards between rushing
100.
and receiving.
Let me do 113 and a touchdown. So I think what they're going for might be the same that the Falcons went for last season. that you have Howard as the kind of Devontae Freeman guy, the one who runs the ball, ground and pound, and Tariq Cohen as the Tevin Coleman, the guy who lines up. He can run the ball, but he more often might be a receiver and catch the ball in the backfield. And that might be an interesting combination for the Bears, especially if you consider Mike Glennon. He's not going to throw the deep ball very often.
No.
So someone like Tariq Cohen should see plenty of volume. And if anyone is playing fantasy football and didn't get Tariq Cohen and Tariq Cohen is still available, get him.
All right.
Seriously, get him.
So the next game, and it turned out to be exactly what we had previously said. It was a game to watch, Raiders-Titans.
Oh yeah, I saw that on German TV. That was the game we saw here on national TV. It was really fun to watch.
I bet it was. I didn't get to see it here, but
fun fact. Do you know, or could you guess who the color commentator on German TV was? Give you a hint. Former NFL player.
There's been a few German. No idea. No clue.
Sebastian Vollmer, former offensive lineman for the Patriots.
Oh.
Two-time Super Bowl champion.
Well, there you go, Isaac. If you're still listening, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was really, really fun to listen to him. Like the insight you get from a former NFL player is not comparable to anything the other German commentators can give you, because they all didn't play in the NFL. Or I mean, one of them did coach in training camp a few times.
No.
There's one who's now a commentator for the NFL on German TV. But apart from those two, the other ones are just former German players who played in the GFL, the German Football League. That exists. Really, it does. Never said it's good, but it exists. But, you know, not much experience on the NFL level there.
Monk, Minding actually lives in Germany. He's one of the few Germans that understands NFL.
Yeah, but the number is growing. The number is growing.
Yeah, he asked German TV, is it run by immigrants? No.
Not yet, but we'll see what the future holds.
So Raiders Titans, yeah. It looks like it was a pretty fun game.
It definitely was. It was really fun to watch. It was a pretty close game up until the fourth quarter. There was just one big revelation. An Italian guy named Giorgio Tavecchio, who is now the kicker for the Raiders because Sebastian Janikowski has some kind of back injury. Blood, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Always those little stabs because of your age. I'm
That's
sorry,
right.
but you know it's all in good fun. But Giorgio Tavecchio, 4 out of 4 field goals, and 2 of them over 50 yards.
Wow.
He scored a 20-yarder, 43, 52, and 52. One of those 52-yard field goals to end the first half. And to give the Raiders the lead. I mean, it was 10-10, and he stepped up with the time running out. 52-yard field goal to end the half. That is amazing. As a like is he a rookie? I mean, can we call him a rookie? Yeah, he is. Yeah, he was undrafted this year, so he is a rookie. That's amazing.
Well, like I said, like we've discussed in previous episodes, the kicking game has become much more important in the last couple of years since they've, done some of the rules change, moving the extra point line back and so forth.
Yeah.
So you can't. Teams just are finding out that they can't just get by with somebody that can kick the ball. They've got to have somebody with really high accuracy.
Yeah. I just saw he's not technically not a rookie. He was undrafted in 2012, but he never played a regular season game in the NFL. Only off-season practice squad member. Never, from what I see, not even a preseason game. Let alone regular season. So this was his first ever regular season game on the NFL level.
Kind of interesting that he would, show that kind of talent, but apparently since 2012 be kind of looked over by all the teams that he's practiced for.
You know why the Raiders took him? There was just one reason. Because he's left-footed, just like Janikowski is.
Yeah,
and they don't want the holder to have to change directions and everything. That was the only reason.
They lucked out because that was a concern, at least in my mind, with Janikowski being the caliber kicker that he is, being out of the game. I thought it might be a factor, but they sure sounds like they lucked out then.
Yeah, they did. And I love to talk fantasy football every now and then.
Sure.
And if someone has a kicker that he's not happy with, I think Giorgio Tavecchio is a great addition.
All right, next game, which we touched on a little bit already, Ravens and Bengals.
I didn't expect the first blowout to happen in week 1.
Yeah.
Especially with Andy Dalton playing that bad, quarterback rating under 30.
At least my team scored 9 points. Right?
Yeah. I mean, there were a few other teams that managed to score at least 3. The 49ers and the Giants. I mean, hey, at least you get a few points on the board. It's not a 0. Wow, that was... I mean, Cincy is looking bad this year. Blown out by the Ravens. Week 2, again, we're going to talk about that. Losing to the Texans. I mean, maybe it's too early to say that, but or maybe it's too late. But I think the Cleveland Browns have a shot at 3rd place in their division.
Yeah,
if mean, the Bengals keep on playing that way.
Yeah, the way they played this week, yeah. And if Cincinnati keeps playing the way they played this week,
yeah. I mean, the Browns, they have a chance to win. Like I said before, they have a chance to win a few games. I don't know, like 4 or 5. The Bengals keep on playing the way they play. I see them at 3-13 or something.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't win much.
It's very. Look, now we're just looking at the first week, and things can change tremendously over the season. But looking at the first week, I have to agree with MC. Cleveland right now is a better team than Cincinnati, and that's saying something.
that says a lot after the Browns went 1-15 last season, and they didn't even have Myles Garrett. He was injured, or I think he still is injured. He didn't play. Their first overall pick didn't play, and they still managed to play a good game against the Steelers. At the same time, the Bengals completely down the drain.
Okay, so next up is another game that I'm not surprised about who won, but by how much. Eagles Redskins.
Yeah.
I really thought the Redskins would show up more than they did. But.
Yeah, I think they still have some issues in terms of the receiver core or receiving core. Losing your top two receivers, maybe two of your top three, depending on where you rank James and Crowder. But losing Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon, that hurts you.
Yeah.
That hurts you. I mean, you get Terrell Pryor, but he's got to get familiar with the system. He was playing last season in Cleveland in a situation where he, at some point in the season, was the quarterback. I mean, he's got to get familiar with the system. So give him some time. Give the Redskins offense some time. Running game wasn't there, didn't show up. 13 rushes by the running backs for 34 yards. Pretty bad. Cousins didn't really show up. 23 of 40 for 240 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Nah.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not surprised that the Eagles won that game. I mean, that's what I called. I knew they would, but I really thought it would be a little bit closer game.
Yeah, I mean, you expect the Redskins to score at least one touchdown more than they did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm taking away from this. I mean, they relied basically on a pick six by Ryan Kerrigan. And the passing touchdown from Cousins to Chris Thompson.
And that's not saying much, MC. Cousins was better than Dalton. Everybody was better than Dalton.
Yeah. Week one, everybody. Actually, in week one, in terms of quarterback rating, at least, even Scott Tolzien was better than Dalton.
Yeah. And Tolzien was the worst quarterback I've seen play for the Colts since they first come over with a fellow named Pagel. So it was bad.
Yeah, you're talking those old times again. Remember, I'm 24 years old. I don't remember all of this.
Probably before you were born.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, let's see. What do we got? Oh, Lord. Next up is my Colts and the Rams. What an embarrassment.
46. 46. Who would have thought that the Rams would even be able to score such a number?
I mean, there was a point early in the game where we should have. There was a call where it was. If you watch the game, you'll know what I'm talking about. It was obviously a touchdown. But for whatever reason, our coaches decided to go ahead and run the play before they got the review. And I think they would have ruled it a touchdown. But it still would not have made any difference.
Yeah. I have a little fun fact for this game. These fun facts. Do you know, or anyone in the chat, do you know what scorigami is? Have you ever heard of that, Blood?
I know what origami is, but scorigami, no.
Yeah, scorigami is a term basically invented by John Bois, who is, I think, working for SB Nation. He's creating videos and and he invented the term, and I love the term. It means scorigami occurs when there is a score in the NFL, a final score that never happened before in the history of the league, and there was not a single game before this one in the NFL that ended in a 46-9. So
Yeah,
that game was scorigami.
like I said earlier, and like I told you before we went live, I only made it through just past the start of the second half. I think it was 38-3 when I gave up. And
Yeah,
my
yeah,
poor
I
heart, it
understand.
only takes so much.
Yeah, I think if anything, wait, from what I see, let me look it up. Damn it.
Well, there was absolutely no redeeming quality. Tolzien stunk up the place. Of course,
Yeah.
we were without some of our best defensive players, and our defense is suspect at best.
Yeah. Here, 37-3 after the pick six.
Yeah. Well, there was two pick sixes that I seen.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah.
After the second one, the score was 37-3.
Yeah, we were without Devontae Davis and our safety. What's his name? My brain's just took apart. But we were without two of our best defensive players. But that's still no excuse. 46 points by the Rams. That's just. I mean, it's one thing for Tolzien to be so stinky, but to allow 46 points, that's just adding insult to injury.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you look at the scoring and how it happened, it's very weird. You have a picks. You have a few field goals. Obviously, Greg Zuerlein, he's kicking 3 field goals, a 50, 35, and 44 yarder. So we take those 9 basically out of the equation. So we're to 37, and we take the safety that happened in the fourth quarter. We take that out in 35. So 5 touchdowns. 2 of them pick sixes, a 5-yard rush, a 3-yard rush, and an 80-yard pass. So Jared Goff wasn't that good. The running game overall wasn't that good. I mean, Todd Gurley ran 19 times for 40 yards. He barely made it to over 2 yards a carry.
Yeah,
Barely.
that was the only upside that I seen through the well. There were 2 upsides during that whole game for the Colts. One is that the offensive line did hold up better than expected, being as mixed around as it is. I mean, it's same story we've been dealing with for the last 2 or 3 years. It's just mix and match every week. You never know who's starting where. But the second thing was that we did pretty much stop the running game. There was a couple of big runs there, but other than that, we kept them to 2-3 yard rushes just about every time. Other than that, there was nothing to take away from this except
Yeah. Jared Goff played pretty well. 21 of 29, 306 yards and a touchdown. That's a stat line you want to see from a guy who goes into his second year, who didn't play that well the first year. He stepped it up, and on the Rams side, you want to see that continue throughout the next games. So that's something. But then again, like you said before, Vontae Davis was missing, so the best corner of the team not in the game.
Yeah.
And that's
all I can.
let's say the whole problem here.
Yeah.
That you cannot stop the pass.
Yeah. All I can say here is I am rooting for Andrew Luck's shoulder. That's who I'm ready for.
Yeah.
Let's see it hurry up and get healed. I don't want to see him out there till he's better, but I hope he gets better.
I gotta say, I personally think at this point, I mean, Andrew Luck is right-handed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, maybe the Colts would be better off playing Andrew Luck and he throws with his left. Maybe that's. I mean, everything's better than Scott Tolzien. And yeah, MC says that you were warned not to play Tolzien. Yeah, I said it a few times.
Well, unfortunately, I have no say in that.
Yeah, I told you that, but I mean, you got to activate your connections to the Colts organization. They got to listen to that podcast here.
Yeah,
They would know that they shouldn't have started Tolzien in the first place.
and I actually, Monk Frank Gore can throw the ball. I've seen him throw the ball, so he might be a better choice. But MC, you have a point. I'd like to see Andrew get healthy. I think he came back from the last surgery a little too early, but that's what Andrew does. He doesn't like to sit the bench. He takes a lot of pride in this team and in his play, and he got out there a little earlier. I don't want to see him out there till he's ready to go.
Yeah, that's often a problem in pro sports. The players who are somewhat important to their team are rushed back into the game, even though they're not fully healed, and then they re-injure themselves. So,
And
yeah, maybe give away one or two more games, but instead you have an Andrew Luck that is healthy.
And I'm hoping that this isn't a sign again. Last year we went through a terrible time with the injury bug hitting our defense. I hope this isn't a sign that that's about to happen all over again. Because with these not even backup quarterbacks playing right now, we need some help somewhere.
I mean, you're right about Tolzien. I haven't seen enough from Brissett yet. He might be a good backup.
The only thing that I've seen out of Brissett was during preseason. You know, that's kind of hard to tell. And
Yeah, preseason doesn't count.
He's got a stronger arm, which does fit our scheme better. So there's hope in that. But I think anybody except for maybe Andy Dalton would be a step up for Tolzien right now.
Yeah, if you consider week one performance, yeah. Week one is I mean, we know what Andy Dalton did in week one is not representative of what Andy Dalton usually does.
Brissett is a little bit more mobile, it seemed like, than Tolzien, and with our O-line the way that it is, that's a plus.
Yeah.
To be able to get away from that rush. So
yeah, that's why the Seahawks were in the game for so long against the Packers, because Russell Wilson is mobile. I mean, that O-line, wow, Swiss cheese.
Which brings us to the next, which is Seahawks Packers.
Was that a nice segue, or was that a nice segue?
And we couldn't have planned it better if we'd have planned it.
Yeah, I fully saw that game from start to end, from kickoff to final whistle, and the biggest thing really was the Seahawks O-line being basically college level. You had these men that looked like kids that didn't know what to do, playing against grown-ass men, basically eating them alive.
Right.
And to me, the player of the game was Mike Daniels, who pressured Russell Wilson over and over again, forced the fumble that resulted in I think the first Packers touchdown. I'm not mistaken. He was all over Russell Wilson. I'm looking at the stats right now. There we go. Yeah, Mike Daniels 1.5 sacks, 5 tackles, 2 assisted tackles, a forced fumble. Yep, pretty much. Nick Perry also with 1.5 sacks. It's amazing that Russell Wilson was only sacked 3 times. With that O-line, I mean, he was pressured on, I think, 40% of his plays. 40% of his dropbacks he was pressured on. Imagine you drop back and 2 out of 5 times you have someone right in your face.
And like Monk makes a point from what he saw, most teams looked shaky, and it is week 1. And you're right, I didn't see anybody look really sharp in week 1. I didn't see any standout teams that looked like they were in mid-season form yet.
I wanna disagree here.
Sure.
I think there are a few teams that did look sharp. The Packers being one of them. Maybe I'm a homer here, but I think they did look sharp. Aaron Rodgers needed a little to get into the game, but then his stats are looking good. He was looking good and everything. It worked out. Packers defense is there. Hey, they show up. It's unusual if you see the last few years. Then I think the Chiefs look very sharp.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And the Jaguars.
Nah, but then again, he's Blake Bortles there. I don't want to give him that much credit.
No,
if we go by the Jaguars, we would have to say that the Rams looked sharp.
Yeah, if the conversation is that they looked good in week 1, the Jaguars looked good.
No, it's not that they look good in week 1. What I mean by they look sharp, what maybe MC means by look sharp, or what Monk means by looking shaky, or what I mean by not looking shaky, is that you don't have a single unit that looks shaky. Basically, that run defense, pass defense, run offense, pass offense. They all pretty much work. And I see that with the Packers. Ty Montgomery, well, he didn't have the best of days, 54 yards, but he caught the ball out of the backfield 4 times for 39 yards. So he almost posted 100 yards on the day. 93, I think, 93. Passing offense, I mean, if you have Aaron Rodgers, come on. And like I said, the defense was there. Run defense, yeah, Chris Carson got a few good runs in there, or 1 good run of 30 yards. Russell Wilson, but when a quarterback scrambles, is it really a run? I mean, statistically, yes, but more times than not, it's a broken pass play. And Packers did look sharp in all phases of the game, in all situations. The Chiefs, they gave up 27, but they held Brady to under 50% completion. That's looking sharp in terms of pass defense. They pretty much stopped the run. I mean, Gillislee, yeah, he got a few good in there, but they look good. And Alex Smith, I mean, and Kareem Hunt. I mean, talk about those two. That's as sharp as anyone can look in week 1. So we got the Packers, we got the Chiefs. Jaguars again, passing offense. To me, the problem here. Rams, yeah, man, 2 pick sixes. Yeah, come on, that's kind of skewing the stat line a little.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the Jaguars are ready to take on to win the AFC South, but they did have a good week 1.
Yeah,
they did have a good week 1. All right.
But someone in chat, Monk says, "What about the Vikings?" I didn't see. We're gonna talk about the Vikings game. I didn't see it too much of it. That's the problem. So I would have to look at the stats solely, and we're gonna see. But next game,
Panthers, 49ers, and the 49ers were exactly who we thought they were.
I know that reference.
Yeah.
I'm young as fuck. And there's demonetization again. But I know that reference. They were exactly who we thought they were.
Yep.
Ah, great. That was one of the all-time greats.
I think that was one score that I was not surprised at all.
Yeah. The only thing that surprised me in that game was that the Panthers only scored 2 touchdowns and had to rely on 3 field goals. I mean, they didn't really have to rely on them, but it drove their score a good amount. I thought, I mean, 2 passes by Cam Newton. I thought like either Stewart or McCaffrey would run the ball in as well. That's what I was expecting, but it didn't happen, weirdly enough. And yeah, that's the way it is. But Brian Hoyer being Brian Hoyer, basically. Carlos Hyde also being Carlos Hyde, 9 rushes for 45 yards. In terms of yards per attempt, that's looking good. Like it always is for Carlos Hyde. He's making those yards somehow, one way or another. But he doesn't get the opportunity all too often, and that's what I think is weird. I mean, you have 14 rushing attempts by running backs, not counting the 1 rushing attempt by Brian Hoyer that was stopped 5 yards, 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. How does that not count as a sack? I don't understand, but okay. But 14 rushing attempts and 35 pass attempts. How? If you have Carlos Hyde in the backfield, you have Kyle Juszczyk as your fullback. Run the damn ball. And Kyle Shanahan, who was the offensive play calling mastermind behind the Falcons last season. I don't understand it. Having this kind of imbalance between rush and pass, I don't get it. I just don't get it. What was the reasoning behind this?
Well, most games I noticed this week as I'm looking through the box scores, most games, not all of them, the running game was kind of not very many 100-yard games there.
Sorry, I didn't understand you. What was the? You said the running game was, and I didn't hear what you said afterwards.
Not very many 100-yard rushing games this last week.
Yeah, I think that's due to the fact that a lot of players have to get into the season. You know,
yeah,
slow start and everything. I think in week 2 we're going to see a little more of that, and it's also due to the fact that Le'Veon Bell was not fed, and David Johnson got injured. So your 2 biggest prospects in terms of 100-yard running games, or 100-yard games, basically, one was injured and the other was, well, completely taken out of the game, basically. So there's that. I think we're gonna see some more in the next few weeks.
And now we get to my second heartbreak of the week. Giants Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about the Giants first, or should I?
I knew they were going to have a little trouble with their number 1 receiver being out. I got that, and I knew it was going to depend on which Eli showed up. Was it the pick throwing Eli or the or the good quarterback Eli? But oh my gosh, they couldn't score to save their lives.
Yeah, I'm gonna go really hard here on the Giants.
You go right ahead.
I'm
They
pretty
look
sure.
bad.
I'm pretty sure. Nah, I'm pretty sure. Like not just one game hard. You know, I think Eli's the problem. I mean, 2 Super Bowls. Yeah, he won those. Great for him. But I mean, if I look at the quarterbacks in general, it's throughout the history of the NFL. We have quarterbacks that have not won a single Super Bowl, and we have guys like Dan Marino among them,
Mhm.
who I'm pretty sure you agree. Dan Marino was one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game.
Sure.
Not maybe not the best, but one of definitely. Um, then we have, but we also have a lot of bad quarterbacks who never won a Super Bowl, obviously. um, then we have quarterbacks who won one Super Bowl. Among them, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, but also Trent Dilfer. And then we have quarterbacks who won multiple Super Bowls. And everyone who won multiple Super Bowls as a quarterback is great. Give me one name. Give me one quarterback who won multiple Super Bowls who was not great. And don't say Bart Starr. I dare you. The only one is Eli. And I'm not saying Eli is bad, but Eli is the worst quarterback of all those that have won multiple Super Bowls.
I am a Giants fan. I've made no bones about it. They're my second favorite team next to my Colts. I always have been. But I've never been totally sold on Eli. Eli is too spotty. I mean, he can come out one week and just play lights out, and then next week he throws 5 picks. You know, Uh, it's his inconsistency
Yeah.
that's always been my issue.
Yeah, I totally understand that, and to actually is that correct if I say to put the hammer down? Is that a saying?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Good. To put the hammer down, the Giants need a new quarterback.
yeah.
Eli, again, not taking away anything from him with his 2 Super Bowl wins, did well in those seasons, in those games. But at this point, I think he is below average.
And it's
And if
not
you,
like if you watched that game, which I did, sadly. It's not like the Cowboys played lights out because they didn't. They let him hang in there, hang in there, hang in there, hang in there for the longest time. The Giants had every opportunity to stay in that game and just couldn't do it.
yeah, I really think that the Giants should look for a new quarterback as soon as they can. I
Yeah.
mean, so far, if you look at Eli's stats, and there was something that I thought was really interesting throughout his career, not just the last few seasons, his career. If you compare Eli's career statistics when he threw the ball to Odell Beckham, when he targeted Odell Beckham, and when he didn't, vastly different.
Yeah. And that's a case of having a premier receiver, uh, as opposed to a premier quarterback can throw to anybody. You know, yeah, not everybody's going to be breakout, but they can throw to anybody and have solid statistics. But I think that's more a case of OBJ just being, a premier receiver than it is
Yeah,
any skill on Eli's part.
yeah, definitely. Odell makes Eli so much a better player. just because he's there and he's open and Eli can throw the ball to him all the time, basically. And Odell catches basically everything.
And you're
That's
right.
just
You're
that's
right.
just value Odell Beckham has.
Yeah. You're right, MC. Right now, it looks like the NFC East does go through Philadelphia. Because, like I said, I did watch that game, and the Cowboys didn't play that great.
Yeah.
That young quarterback they have now, he looked pretty decent. At least he protected the ball very well for a young guy. But it didn't look like he was ready to set the world on fire. The Cowboys overall didn't look like it. They done just enough to beat a bad Giants team is what they did.
Yeah. But we have a saying in Germany. I think in some way, shape, or form you have the same saying in English. It's I try to translate it in my head right now. A good horse only has to jump as high, or only jumps as high as it has to.
Right.
And that's what the Cowboys did. They delivered a performance that they had to deliver to just win the game safely and surely, and they didn't do an awful lot more. And that's enough. I mean, you're playing. You play to win the game. But if you get, it doesn't matter if you get a W with 40 points difference or with 16 like the Cowboys did. It doesn't matter. A W is a W and an L is an L.
Yeah.
So why bother to drive up the score to, I don't know, astronomical heights when you can just play seriously and just go for first down after first down, run down the clock, do everything, and just win the game and get it over with.
If the Giants don't make some changes, if they don't get Marshall into the game, if they don't make some kind of changes to their gameplay, they're going to end up at the bottom of the NFC East. Because as bad as Washington got whooped, it's still a tough. It's a tough division. It always has been, and I'm almost certain it'll become that at least by mid-season. It'll be a tough division. But well, if they don't start pulling some stuff out pretty quick, they're not going to beat much of anybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, next one. Onto the Monday night games. Saints, Vikings. There we are.
Yeah, I have to look at the stats. I didn't see that at all. I mean, I didn't find the time.
Yeah,
But
right.
when I look at the stats, the first thing I see is that Sam Bradford had an amazing game. 27 of 32 for 346 yards, 3 touchdowns. Wow.
That's
I mean, remember last year, Sam Bradford, Mr. Checkdown, the guy who always throws for the 5-yard pass, the 6-yard pass, every time. He has over 10 yards per attempt, almost 11 yards per attempt in that game. He's not Mr. Checkdown anymore. Remember what happened last season? Teddy Bridgewater got injured, and Sam Bradford came into the team without having the. I mean, he had the preseason, I think, but that was it. He didn't have the off season. He had to learn the system in 4 weeks. So what happened? I think what happened is that the Vikings basically they broke down their own system and changed it, so Bradford only has to throw these checkdowns and make the short passes and everything. And now He's familiar with their actual system. And that's what happens.
Yeah, because I'm surprised. I actually thought the Saints might pull that one out, but
I mean,
but it sounds like, yeah, Bradford had a good game. He absolutely had a good game.
A great game.
And that's what you have to do with a new quarterback to the system like that, is you're going to have to make some changes. Might be what my Colts are going to have to do, is make some changes to suit whoever's behind the line of scrimmage, rather than trying to still play Andrew Luck style of game without Andrew Luck back there.
Yeah, pretty much. It's so amazing to see. Look at those stat lines. I mean, Dalvin Cook in his first game, 22 rushing attempts, 127 yards. It's a shame he didn't get a touchdown. I mean, that's what you want. If you have a 100-yard rushing game, I mean, come on, at least give that guy the touchdown. But didn't work out. Stephon Diggs got 2. Kyle Rudolph got 1. Adam Thielen targeted 10 times, caught 9 of them for 157 yards. I think Adam Thielen, together with Stephon Diggs, those two are the number 1 and 2 receivers in Minnesota. And Adam Thielen might be pretty much of an asset in fantasy football leagues. If those targets continue to come in, hell yeah.
Yeah, they were looking good. You might want to look out for them, since the Vikings are in your division.
Yeah, the only thing that I pretty much I don't see too well is their defense. No pick, no forced fumbles, no turnovers, and I mean, at least get one.
Right.
One sack only, so the pass rush wasn't that good. But then again, I mean, the Saints always make sure that Drew Brees is standing behind a good offensive line.
All right. And the last game of the week was Chargers-Broncos. And I was shocked that the Chargers hung in there as well as they did. I really was.
Don't let Monkey hear that.
I wished he was here. I tried to get him in, but he already had previous engagement. But I wished he was here so I could trash talk him a little.
How dare you, Monkey? Fuck you, Monkey. No,
yeah, I really thought that it would be a blowout. I really thought it would be a blowout on the Broncos team, but they hung in there. They still got beat, but they did hang in there.
Yeah, I didn't expect a blowout. I did expect a higher point differential than 3. But definitely not a blowout. Maybe let's say a 10 to 14 point game, something somewhere in between there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Chargers got a turnover. They got an interception by Adrian Phillips. They forced a fumble with Corey Toomer and recovered it with Casey Hayward. So, I mean, 2 takeaways. That's good on their defensive side. On offense, I mean, Phillip Rivers, he's your also just like I said before, when I always use Andy Dalton as the measurement of mediocrity, the measurement of average in the NFL for quarterbacks. Phillip Rivers is always slightly above that. He's always this slightly above, but he's so consistent doing that. Like this is a typical Phillip Rivers stat line. 22 of 33, well, maybe not that typical, but too much of completion here. For 192, not good enough on the yardage. Okay, but 3 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Right.
That's what Phillip Rivers usually does, unless he has a really bad day. Then he drops. Quarterback rating 99.6, actually one of his better days.
Yep.
But that's pretty much Phillip Rivers. He's your decent, average, slightly above average quarterback. And Melvin Gordon ran the ball 18 times for 54 yards. Well, three yards per carry, not what you want to see, but okay, happens. So really interesting here to see those stat lines are what I think basically what the Chargers are. Phillip Rivers, the slightly above average quarterback, and Melvin Gordon, a good running back. A bit bad here in terms of yards per attempt, but overall, yeah, he's not that bad. And the defense stepped up. The defense got 4 sacks, 2 takeaways. What else do you want? Yeah. Well, maybe a touchdown, but it can always have a defensive touchdown.
Yeah, and well, the thing that stood out to me is this was against what's generally a very good defense on the Broncos. So that I was surprised to see the score, honestly.
Yeah, I mean the Broncos got less takeaways, only 1. They only scored 1 sack by Shaquille Barrett.
Yeah.
That's interesting to see. So it seems like the Chargers O-line, they actually know what they're doing. They didn't allow Von Miller to sack Phillip Rivers once.
I don't know how much of that is the Chargers O-line is okay, or how much it is that the Broncos defense just didn't show up. Of course, I didn't see the game.
I didn't either. It's just like, I mean, we have to go with the stat lines here, kind of.
Yeah, generally Monday night games I'm not going to be able to see because they're on cable around here, and I don't have cable. So
in Germany, it's a little more generous, let's say. There are what we have now for this season, starting this season, is we have a summary show, let's say, for the Sunday night game and the Monday night. Because the Sunday night game in Germany is like 2:30 a.m. on Monday, so nobody's watching that. So there's a summary for that game and the Monday night game, or in this instance, games. And I did watch that. But yeah, apart from that, what we have is they call it the Netflix of sports. I find it interesting.
I hate to do this to you, but my granddaughters are getting ready to leave. I need you to take a quick minute to say goodbye to them. I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, I can talk.
Okay. Be right back.
All right. So for the viewers, the Netflix of sports we have in Germany, it's called DAZN, spelled DAZN. And it's really interesting for us Germans. I think they have it in Canada too. And in Canada, they're showing all NFL games on that. In Germany, they're showing, I think, 1 early Sunday game and the Sunday and Monday night games. Just really, really nice. It costs as much as Netflix, $9.99 a month. And you get a lot of sports. You get a lot of soccer in Germany here on that. You get the NFL, you get the NBA. Some games, really good. But I wasn't able. I do have that, but I wasn't able to see the game because I had too much to do. I just saw the summary of the game on free TV, like 6 minutes, 8 minutes summary or something, highlights. And it really did seem like from the summary, from the highlights, that that the Broncos defense didn't really show up. I mean, in the end, they won the game, but it was close, and let's say it got close. I mean, the Broncos were leading 24-7 at the end of the third quarter, but it got close with two quick touchdowns, touchdown passes by Phillip Rivers to Allen and Benjamin. Yeah, and that was pretty much the game. And they were all the games basically. Yeah. And Bloodwing's still not back. All right. Some more talking. Let's see what chat is doing. Chargers continue to disappoint me. Oh, come on. They scored 21, and their defense, in terms of takeaways and sacks, outscored the Broncos defense. But yeah, they have been better. That is true. Bloodwing, you're back?
I am back. Sorry about that.
Finally.
Family comes first. Sorry about that.
Obviously, I mean.
Yeah, these are. No, I'm not going to give too much away, but these are three granddaughters that I haven't got to see too much over the last couple of years. So.
No need to justify yourself. I totally understand.
So when I walked away, I think we were just about ready to talk about the Texans-Bengals. That's the last game that's been played.
Yep. And I tried to watch that. But, you know, with the time difference and everything, it's tough. But again, I saw the I didn't see the highlights, but I saw the 40 minutes condensed game. So I saw every snap without the damn it, without the interjections. Is that the right word?
Right.
Yeah. It was interesting to see. Me, Deshaun Watson in that game did look kind of good. Let's say promising. I wouldn't say good, but promising. He showed potential. His 49-yard touchdown run was pretty damn amazing. I must say. If you haven't seen it, search it and watch it. Great run. I mean, 49-yard touchdown run by a quarterback. That's always one to look for. Apart from that, yeah, it was your typical low-scoring game. You know.
My takeaway on it is, I think the Texans were probably embarrassed from their first game, and comeback was going to make sure that didn't happen again. Obviously, I think that their defense probably showed up, which was a shock that it didn't the first week, because they've got a solid defense, have for a while. Not much offense there.
Yeah, on both sides.
Right. Not much offense at all. But at least the Texans did come back, get themselves a win after that terribly embarrassing loss to the Jags.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the stat of that game is that both punters were on the field together 16 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of punts.
That's a lot of punts. Shane Leckler 9 times, Kevin Huber 7. That's a lot of punts. Yep. But yeah, both defenses showed up. By the Texans, forced by Kareem Jackson, recovered by Jadeveon Clowney. 3 sacks on either side, and Did you see that last tackle of the game?
No.
It was amazing. The Bengals tried some hook and ladder play to somehow score because it was too far away for yeah, they started from their 20, and it was too far away for a Hail Mary, like 80 yards, not gonna happen.
Right.
So they tried a hook and ladder, and I think it was Andy Dalton who finally threw the last ball to I think to um his center or some offensive lineman. And as soon as that offensive lineman caught the ball, J.J. Watt came in and annihilated him.
Oh, he is an absolute. I've said it all along that he's not human. J.J.
Yeah,
Watt is not human.
he really isn't. But to end the game like this, if you haven't seen it, try to find it on the internet. It has to be out there somewhere. If you can't find it, I'm gonna search it for you and I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay.
That tackle was one for the ages.
Yeah, J.J. Watt is a beast, and we have to. My Colts have to face him twice a year, and every time we do, I'm like, oh Lord, please double team J.J.
Yeah.
I don't care who else you let through the line, just double team him.
Yeah.
He's just, oh.
But at this point, you can't really, because on the other side there's this Jadeveon Clowney guy.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much terrifying as well. So it's gonna be tough. But I mean, I don't want to say you are a redneck, but you call yourself a redneck.
I am one.
So maybe or you have seen WWE sometime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you know what a spear is, right?
Right.
Basically, that's what J.J. Watt did to that lineman.
Wow.
That was amazing. That was a tackle.
Yeah. I don't much watch wrestling anymore. I haven't for years, but yeah, there was a time where I was quite the wrestling fan. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's actually where that move comes from anyway, is from the NFL, spear.
Yep. All right, we have a few news that occurred in the last few days, let's say.
Okay.
That we have to catch up to before we get to the preview of next or this week's games. Aaron Donald is back on the Rams roster after he held out, and he will start on Sunday against the Redskins. So there's that for the Rams. Imagine for the Colts if Aaron Donald had played week 1.
It was bad enough.
Not 46-9, probably, I don't know, 53-6 or so.
Thanks, Monk. He tweeted me the video on the
great. All right, good. Then we have we have 2 transactions on the Chiefs roster. First off, they cut CJ Spiller.
Huh.
I mean, why would you need him? You have Kareem Hunt. Come on.
Right.
And they promoted Hunt. Not Kareem. I mean, he's obviously the starter already. Akeem Hunt, former Texans running back, who was, I don't know. I don't think he was in the practice squad. I think he was on some kind of, maybe the PUP list or something. But he was activated. He was promoted to the active roster, and CJ Spiller was cut. That's I find that interesting. Now you have to watch out for Hunt and Hunt in the Chiefs' backfield. This is gonna be confusing for some defenses. Wait, which Hunt is there in the back? Which one is that?
Wait till the first people to call the game.
Oh yeah. Oh god, they're gonna be confused. That's gonna be fun. And then we have that's interesting. NFL Network's Michael Robinson said to Adrian Peterson, "You're a backup running back." That's currently the news on NFL.com. I mean, I think he's right. Adrian Peterson at this point on the Saints roster is a backup running back. But some harsh words there. Odell Beckham is questionable for the Giants game against the Lions with his ankle injury still. And we also have Richard Sherman being a game time decision for Seahawks 49ers.
I don't much like Sherman.
I don't either. I don't
much like him. I'm not saying the man doesn't have some talent. I just don't much like him.
Yeah, I'm always amazed by the size of his nostrils. That's the one thing when I'm thinking every time I see him, I'm like, wait, what? I mean, if I had those nostrils, I could be a pro athlete.
Yeah.
My body would get so much air, so much oxygen. Of course. I'm looking through all of the injury updates and everything right now. But yeah, Myles Garrett is out for week 2 as well. Nothing new here. Denny Woodhead did not participate in practice, so he's. I mean, there is no game status yet on him, but he pretty likely he's out for the Browns-Ravens game. Shady McCoy did not participate in practice for the Bills. But again, no game status yet on him, so I think he might play, just has some minor issues maybe. What else we have here? No, they all fully participated. Nothing here. Yeah, Vontae Davis will not play week 2. Groin injury. Oh, you don't want to read that.
Well, I've had that years ago, and I mean, it sounds funny, but there's nothing funny about it. When you have it doesn't.
No. It doesn't sound funny. It really doesn't sound funny. Oh man.
Yeah, I used to work at Federal Express years ago.
Okay.
And it was winter time, and I stepped into a metal container with ice in it, and I'd done the splits, and I can't do the splits.
Wow.
And yeah, I was off work for a month.
Yeah, I see that happening. Oh man. Please let's stop talking about that. Oh. Ronald Darby will not play for the Eagles. Any injury? Oh yeah, Danny Amendola out with a concussion. Devin McCourty is questionable. Also groin injury, limited participation in practice. Xavier Rhodes, a cornerback for the Vikings, is questionable for the game against the Steelers. Oh god, a lot of questionable players for the Bears. I want to go over all of them, but a lot of them. Jarvis Landry is questionable for the Dolphins with a knee injury. Limited participation in practice. Okay. And Ray Mawaluga is out with a hamstring injury. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Is there anything else I missed? I don't think so.
Sounds like you covered it.
Um,
Well, we got a little under 15 minutes left. Do you think we can do a quick rundown of
yeah,
next week's game? I don't know if we can get it in 15 minutes, but we'll try. We'll have to keep our gab about it
easy,
to a minimum.
easy. We can make that easily.
First up, we got Bills Panthers. Yeah, Panthers.
Oh, that's a tough one. I think. Yeah, but yeah, Panthers. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a close game, but
Yeah,
Panthers. Yeah,
it's at Carolina, so yeah, I'd say Panthers.
yeah.
Next, next
Home
we
field
have
advantage.
next we have Bears at Buccaneers. I'm going to give that one to the Bucks.
Yeah, easily, more than a touchdown.
Next we have Vikings at the Steelers. That might be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, it depends on whether Steelers improve upon their Week 1 play.
I think they will because if you look at the Steelers with Ben Roethlisberger, their record home and away it differs a lot. Steelers are not a road team, and they played in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So now they're playing at home against the Vikings. I think they're gonna win.
Yeah.
But the Vikings are going to show up. I think the Vikings are going to put up a fight, and it's going to be a fun game to watch. But in the end, the Steelers keep the upper hand.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good game. Maybe not the best game of the week, but one of the better games of the week. Next, we got Colts, Cardinals. Cardinals at Colts. The only thing there is we got home field advantage. I'm not sure it's going to do any good with Vontae out and with, boy, his name is still slipping my mind, but we've got a really good safety that was injured. I don't think he's going to play either. God. I'd have to look it up. But anyway, let's just say our defense is suspect at the moment against the Cardinals offense. I'm hoping we're not looking at another 46-9, but we could.
I mean, we've waited, I think 80 years. No, how long does the NFL exist? 95 years or so?
Yeah, it's coming on.
We've waited 95 years to get the first 46-9. I don't think it's going to happen again in 1 week's time. So, yeah, I think you're safe on that one.
my only hope is that Brissett gives a better showing than Tolzien, and we at least score more than 9 points. Let's get a couple of touchdowns on the board, guys. Come on, give us some hope.
I tell you, a bold prediction: Jacoby Brissett is going to throw for 3 touchdowns.
We can only hope.
No. I was kidding. I was kidding.
All right.
Oh yeah. Someone in chat. Yeah, David Johnson is out. Absolutely right. We talked about that a few times before. So, I mean, by now, everyone knows that David Johnson is on injured reserve. But still, it's the Cardinals or it's the Colts they play against. So even without David Johnson,
they're my team and I love them, but without Andrew Luck behind center, we don't have a chance. I mean, we don't have the quality of backup quarterback that we've had in recent years, and we really miss that.
Yeah, but if I had to make a bold prediction, it would be that the Cardinals defense is going to score a touchdown.
Oh,
either pick six or fumble recovery, return for a touchdown.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if that does not happen.
No, okay. I mean, the defense scoring is a rarity. Remember that. Even
Well,
if there's a good defense facing a bad offense, that's still a rarity. Let
I'm
alone two in
obviously
the same game, but
obviously I'm a Colts homer, but I'm also realistic. And when we're bad, I know we're bad. Okay, Patriots at the Saints. I'm gonna have to give this to Patriots.
yeah. But I will say it's gonna be a close game again. In the end, the Patriots will have the upper hand. But there's only one quarterback since let's say since Bill Belichick took over the Patriots, who has a quarterback rating of over 100 against the Patriots. That quarterback is Drew Brees. So I think the Saints might have a chance. It's definitely a lot closer than people make it out to be. But in the end, the Patriots will prevail.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be fun to watch.
yeah.
It's gonna be a high scoring game. I see over 30 points on both sides.
Yeah. Browns Ravens. Browns at Ravens.
Yeah, remember we talked about a high scoring game, Patriots Saints. That one is not.
No,
That's the opposite. Like the Ravens defense will remain like will stay showed up, let's say. They I feel sorry for Deshaun Kaiser already. He's not gonna have a fun day.
No. I'll have to give that to. I'll have to give the tip of that hat there to the Ravens.
Yeah, especially with the Browns on the road. I mean, the first game against the Steelers they had at home.
But for you poor Browns fans, there is some hope. I mean, they played well in Week 1. Maybe if they can keep it up, maybe they'll end up 8-18. No, I'm just kidding.
No, not gonna happen. 8-8? Come on. Maybe at best 6-10. At best.
Okay.
8-8?
Eagles?
Playoffs?
Eagles at Chiefs. Now that honestly should be a good game to watch.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That would probably be my pick for one of the better games of the week.
Yeah, I got to look up what German TV is showing. I don't know, but while I'm looking that up, I'm giving that one to the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I think
if for no other reason, home field advantage. The Chiefs are one of those teams that do have a true home field advantage. It's not always true for every team, and so because of that, I'd have to give the edge to the Chiefs.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, and I just found week 2. They're showing in Germany Patriots Saints. On national TV, they're showing Vikings Steelers via live stream. And late game, we're going to get to that. They're showing Cowboys at Broncos.
And let's see. Next we have... Oh, lost my page. There we go. Next we have Titans at Jaguars. Now, before last week, I would have said, Titans all day long. And I still think the Titans are going to win. I don't think the Jaguars are going to match them in points. Different story with the Titans than with the Texans. But, hey, it might be a better game than we first might have thought looking at the schedule.
Look, what I see so often is that someone is seeing an outlier and thinks it's the rule. The Jaguars game in week 1 was an outlier.
Oh, by no means am I saying they're going to become a good team anymore. I still, I think that it's going to be a run for worst team in the AFC South between the Jags and the Colts.
I think the Jaguars are gonna bounce back in this instance negatively, bounce back to the shitty old self they've ever been. Or maybe not ever, but at least the last few seasons. And Titans gonna win that by a mile.
And I mentioned it earlier. I honestly think that the Jags, now I don't know the stats, I'd have to look them up, but it feels like the Jags are one of those teams that actually play worse at home than they do away.
Could be.
So, all right, next one. Jets at Raiders. Oh my gosh.
That's the blowout of the week.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the Jets. They don't have a hope in the world.
Yep.
The question is going to be is how big would the spread be?
Yeah. I think it doesn't matter how big the spread is. The Raiders are going to cover it.
Yeah. Dolphins at Chargers.
See, here we have a little bit of an unknown with the Dolphins. They didn't play week 1. They have a quarterback who did retire and then came back. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to tell. I just think the Chargers are gonna have one big disadvantage. It's called their stadium. Their soccer stadium.
Yeah, stadium.
But I say this. I don't know how far it is from San Diego to LA. How many old San Diego Chargers fans are gonna make their way up there? But when I see the architecture of that stadium, kind of reminds me of the what's it called, CenturyLink Field in Seattle, where you have those roofs above the stands that reflect the noise back onto the field, so that the crowd becomes louder. So that might actually have a positive effect. You don't need a lot of volume not in terms of sound volume, but in terms of you don't need a lot of capacity to create or to have a crowd and to create like some noise.
You mean they're not going to have to pump in crowd noise?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But you can create a noisy environment with 30,000 people. That's definitely not a problem. I've seen German soccer stadiums with less people that were pretty damn loud.
Well, in my mind, what we have here is two mediocre teams, and you can never tell.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to the Chargers. Not by a lot. I think it's going to be a mediocre game.
Yeah, definitely not fun to watch. But that's what I was trying to get at. I think the Chargers do have a home field advantage here. You think, well, 30,000 in that stadium, that can't be loud. Oh, fucking yes, it can. I tell you. Again, I've seen soccer stadiums with less people in it. It can happen. Right. 30,000 is just enough to make that happen. I think the Chargers are going to take it, but it's going to be a low-scoring, close game.
Yeah. The next one is going to be another one of those. Probably going to be fun to watch. Cowboys at Broncos.
Yeah, that's the one I'm going to see on national TV here in Germany. It's going to be fun, definitely. it's hard to tell. I think the Cowboys take it.
I'll have to give it to the Cowboys. And I can't remember the kid's name, the young quarterback Cowboys got now.
Dak Prescott.
Yeah, Dak Prescott. I can tell you right now, the kid takes care of the ball. There's not going to be any turnovers, or I'll be very surprised if there are. I'm going to have to give it to the Cowboys just simply for being able to keep it on the rails.
Yeah, and I think the Broncos are having trouble concentrating on that many receivers. Like, I mean, of course you have Aqib Talib and Chris Harris, two of the best corners in the game, but try covering Des Bryant, Cole Beasley, Jason Witten with two cornerbacks. I mean, that's a bit tough. So the receiver core for the Cowboys is loaded with good talent.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So it's going to be tough.
It should be a very good game to watch. Next up, 49ers at Seahawks. My only comment is, which is going to be the bigger blowout, this game or the Jets Raiders? I don't know.
Jets Raiders. I think 49ers are. I think the 49ers are going to outscore the Jets. I think the 49ers will score more points against the Seahawks than the Jets will score against the Raiders.
Yeah.
And at the same time will allow less. But yeah, Seahawks going to win again. Like, no debate.
Redskins at Rams. I think I'm going to have to give this to Redskins. They're not as bad as we are. I just don't see them getting beat by 46 points, not by the Rams.
There was so much unity in our picks so far. I'm going to divert now. I'm going to give that one to the Rams. It's not going to be another 37-point game, right, obviously. But I think that the Redskins, it still doesn't click for the Redskins. So I think the Rams, now with Aaron Donald back, with the confidence they have from week 1, I think they're going to win this. But it's going to be close.
Yeah. It's really kind of a hard one for me to call. I mean, the Rams won handily, but look at who they won against. Redskins kind of piddled around last week. It's hard to call. Packers at Falcons. This is yours. You go.
This is one of those games. If I say Falcons, I'm going to stab my own team in the back. If I say Packers, I'm a fucking homer. I can't win that one. But no, I'm gonna stick with my Packers. I think they're gonna get their revenge for the NFC Championship game of last season. They're gonna ruin the opening of the new stadium, and they're gonna win this. But it's gonna be close, and it's gonna be fun to watch.
Yep, it is.
This might be the best game of week 2.
Yeah. And last but not least, J-Kids Lions against my Giants.
That's yours.
How long is OBJ out? You mentioned he's probably questionable for this week.
He is questionable, but from what I heard, he will likely play.
Even a slightly injured OBJ is better than none. Just because of home field advantage and hoping that OBJ is back on the field, I'm going to give it slightly to the Giants. I don't think this is going to be a runaway game by any means.
I'm in a bit of a pickle here. I want to make a conditional pick.
Okay.
If Odell plays, the Giants win. If he doesn't, the Lions win.
Yeah. I actually would have to agree with you. Seeing their play last week without OBJ, they couldn't put points on the board if the defense stood aside and let them run. I mean, it was just really that bad. So yeah, that's going to be the kicker.
Yeah, maybe it is going to be the kicker who decides the game in the end.
It could be. It could be.
But yeah, it completely depends on Odell. He's such a difference maker. And I mean, we talked about that. We don't have to repeat all of that.
Right. Well, guys, I'm sorry we didn't get the questions. We're a little over my allotted 2 hours, and my youngest daughter is watching my oldest daughter's 4 kids out there, and she's not completely happy about that because my wife had to leave when the other granddaughters left. So I need to get out there and start babysitting. I'm sorry I need to end this, but I am so glad for everybody showing up. I really am appreciative of it. And I really love the fact that you guys interact. That's so great. This stream wouldn't be as good as it is without you guys interacting with us. Hopefully next week we'll have J Kid back in the lineup, and we'll have a guest, as I like to try to have every week. I just was kind of out of the loop this week.
Yeah, that happens. But I'd say before you close the show,
Sure.
One more thing: make sure to like that stream if you like what you saw, and make sure to share this stream, because
Absolutely,
like Monkey and Scribe and SDA always say, YouTube doesn't do it for us anymore. So we're relying on you guys to share what we're doing here.
Yep, absolutely. Well, guys, I'm going to have to head it out of here. And thank you, Minding, for being with another week. Hope to see you next week.
Yeah, always.
All right. We're going to get out of here. And as always, get out of my yard.